Welcome to Goofy Getaways with your hosts, Amy Blades and Amy Fisher.
Welcome to the Goofy Getaways podcast. I am Amy Blades, CEO and founder of Goofy Getaways. And I'm very lucky because I have, of course, my other Amy with me, and we have a special guest because we had so much fun on the Virgin Voyage and we wanted to give you so much information. We had to do 2 episodes. But I'm going to turn it over to my little counterpart and have her introduce herself again. And then we'll have Noddea introduce herself. And then we have got so much to talk about.
Well, hello, everyone. I am Amy Fisher. I'm our Vice President of Communication and Development here at Goofy Getaways. We are a travel agency and we specialize in Disney vacations, but we book lots of different types of travel, including Virgin Voyages. And Amy and Noddea were recently on a Virgin Voyages cruise. Hopefully you heard podcast episode number 1 of this, where they talked a little bit about what Virgin Voyages is and just kind of like a really big overview of the product. Yeah. And today we are super excited because they are going to get into some more details for us. Noddea, do you want to explain a little bit more of who you are and what's to come on today's episode?
Well, hello. My name is Noddea Skidmore. I am the Director of Marketing for Goofy Getaways and also a travel consultant. And on our last episode of the Goofy Getaways podcast, we talked all about what Virgin Voyages is. And today on this episode, we're going to be talking about the Virgin Voyages experience and why Amy Blades and I cannot wait to do it again. Virgin Voyages is an adults-only luxury cruise expectation and experience that is like nothing else that we have ever experienced before. And we're excited to tell you today about the things that resonated the most with us and why it is that we are so antsy to get back on one of these lady ships again.
I'm so excited to hear your thoughts.
I think
and
like
experience
from is
this.
the word. When you talk about that, like that is what this was. It was an experience.
Absolutely.
It was a vacation, but it was an experience. Yeah.
For sure. And one of the things that, we talked a little bit about on the last episode, and Amy, actually, I think all 3 of us have talked about this before, is thinking that maybe this was going to be a little bit of an edgy experience for cruisers, or that maybe things were going to be a little bit in our face and push us outside of our comfort zone in ways that we weren't really sure about. And I would say like that couldn't be further from the truth, right? Like It was such a very cool,
let's be honest,
experience, right? Yeah. Because it took almost no time at all for me to realize that I felt like the best version of myself on this ship.
Yeah. And I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second, Noddea, because one of the things I'm going to be blatantly honest, which is what everybody expects from me. But I'm going to be honest. And I had so many people teasing me from the get-go when I was talking about Virgin, like that is a cruise line that is only for swingers. That is a cruise line that is ultra liberal. Like if you have any conservative values, you shouldn't go on this cruise and blah, 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 blah. I'm going to tell you what, I bet if you wanted to find some fun, you probably would, what I think's fun and someone else thinks fun. I'm just being honest. No, being honest. I mean, for me, like the upside pineapple's not my thing, the upside down one. But honestly, I think if you wanted to find some, you could. But it was not in your face. I at no time felt like there was anything inappropriate from the time we boarded till the time we got off. Not at all. Were there people that were probably staying up a lot later and, sleeping in during the day because they were partying up at night? Very well could be. But the experience that I had, there was nothing inappropriate.
No.
I mean, you can have,
and those
we
things
had the
happen
Diva,
on
right?
every cruise line.
They do.
Exactly.
They happen on every cruise line. Like it's a cruise. People are on vacation.
Yes.
Like some people are going to have fun this way and other people are going to have fun this way. Like
I want listeners and friends, honestly, that I have and family members who really were concerned about that. And I am here to tell you that is not the case. And it kind of ticks me off that it's gotten that label from some people. So get rid of the label because this cruise line is exceptional. exceptional. And we're gonna tell you what we had fun with. I'm gonna tell you what they're doing right. I don't think that there's anything that they're doing wrong. I'd like to see more entertainment on the ship. That is my only complaint. I just want to see some more entertainment for longer sailings.
Yeah.
Other than that, I am just telling you, it was exceptional. I can't wait to go again. And so I didn't mean to interrupt you, Noddea, but there's this thought process that it's not for everybody. And I'm going to tell you it is for everybody.
Yes.
It was an experience.
100%.
18 and older, though.
18 and older,
Well,
yes. And experience for the adults.
Yes.
Yeah.
Adult experience.
I would say that, like, I am a traveler who I like control, I like structure, and I like to know what's happening next. Like, what am I doing next? Yet I never once felt stressed, overwhelmed, or frustrated on the sailing. Well, maybe except for our time at Test Kitchen.
I was just going to say that. But
this sailing was just one of the most blissful experiences. Relaxing, one of the most joyful experiences that I've ever had. And I've told the story a few times already, but it was the second to last day of the sailing, and I got in the elevator. It was very cute. There was a couple. I caught them mid-smooch, like right as the elevator door was opening. She was getting off the elevator, and he was continuing to ride the elevator. And I was like, well, hello. He was like, hey. And I said, how's your day? And he said, this is the longest vacation I've ever been on in my life. I'm not ready for it to end. And I said, I know. I said, I feel the same way. I certainly had vacations that were that long before, but nothing that I don't think I've ever had a vacation, you guys, where, something like over 5 days, right? Where I've thought to myself, I'm ready to just start over. Like, I'm ready to start over this entire vacation and repeat the entire thing. 100%. I would have easily stayed on that ship with zero complaints for another week.
All three of us. I think all three. And how many times did you hear, I heard you say this, and I heard my husband say this. How many times did we lose track of even what day or time it was? Because that doesn't usually happen to me. Like, usually I'm like, yeah. I mean,
like, we definitely had moments where we're like, we think it's Tuesday. We think tomorrow is. We think tomorrow is Honduras. We don't know. And
in the best way.
There are ways for you to know what day it is on the ship. I promise.
100%. But that's how I don't know. That was how the feel of the entire thing.
Yeah.
How in the moment you were able to be, it sounds like.
Yes, 100% in the moment. And I think what I really loved about this cruise line, about Virgin Voyages, that we learned really early on is that you can do Virgin Voyages your way, and whatever your way is, that is the right way. There was no expectation that, like, boy, are you ever missing out if you're not at this class or this show or whatever. It's just, you do it your way and the way that feels right for you. And I loved that. But I would say one of the things that Amy Blades and I are both very much on the same page about is the food on Virgin Voyages is outstanding.
It's the best food on any cruise ship. I would say here we go. If you're on a Disney cruise, I love Palo ramen. Like, though, that is a step above, like that. Okay, I'm talking about the food that you get in main dining rooms, the food that you get on decks, the food that you get at what is it called that you hate so much, Amy? The
buffets, which I love that Virgin Voyages doesn't have them.
I mean, Noddea, let's break it down. Break it down.
Yes.
The food was exceptional.
The
flavor.
And what you need to know.
Portions. Not availability. What is you guys, I feel like I'm still on vacation. The selection, was so broad.
It truly was. And for those people who didn't get a chance to listen to our last episode and hopped right into this one, please go back and listen so you get a little bit more about what is Virgin Voyages experience. But one of the things that is so interesting is there's no main dining room. There's no buffets. There is something that's called the galley. And the galley is a very swanky food court sort of concept where everything that you could go get for food is made to order. So there is a ramen bar, there's a panini bar, there's a burger bar, a fresh salads
Oh,
station,
yeah. And the fresh like meat
just
sandwiches. The
so
fresh, what
sandwiches
about
like
the bento box?
so.
Those fresh fruit
Oh my
that you
gosh,
could
yeah.
get.
There's a bento box station where in the morning all of their bento boxes were fruit based, and then once it changed over to lunchtime, it would be all like true like bento style food, so like sushi and things like that. But just you could find something or many things that you really
The
truly
fresh bakery, the
enjoyed.
bakery stuff. They had fresh bakery
Oh my
every
gosh,
day.
tacos,
Scones,
like just
blueberry,
so
muffin, or yeah, cookies. But yeah, like tacos.
unreal.
Breakfast was scrambled. I'm a huge
Yeah.
scrambled egg person on vacation. That sounds so silly, but on vacation, I love scrambled eggs and the real ones. They were real. They weren't like the powdered
Not the
Yes,
box
stuff.
diner.
stuff.
Yeah,
No,
diner
the
and dash.
diner. And oh my goodness.
Hmm.
Okay,
So
so this food was incredible. The
so many
pizzas.
options.
The
Yes,
pizzas.
there's a
Chuck
wood-fired
loved
pizza place.
the
Oh
pizzas.
my
Same.
gosh.
And they had
Yes.
a small like offering that would be like, this is what you have for every day. And then they would always do a pizza of the day as well. So there was like a barbecue chicken pizza, a Hawaiian pizza. There was a very adventurous pizza that had all different kinds of like Italian sausage with like anchovies. And I'm like, no, thank you very much.
They had a really good
You know,
barbecue chicken pizza. I really liked
yeah.
that.
So it was just so cool to have so many options
Let's say
for
that
that.
once more. Once more. Options.
So
So
many
many
options.
options.
Yes,
I'm
And
going to
yes.
interject really fast too that like I know neither of you have serious food allergies. I've had a client who was on Virgin Voyages with a gluten allergy, right? And so
Ooh,
even they came back and said the exact same thing about the food, that there were
Amazing.
so many options and that
for
everything that
and
they
they
had to eat
specify
was
that too.
excellent.
They specify
Yes.
that.
So don't be
Be-
scared if you're like, oh, I have allergies or certain dietary restrictions.
Yeah.
There's still great
And
choices.
also, this is
blown
something
away.
else that was like, they have 20, you can get food 24, like, and it's not just through room
24/7.
service. Like, you can get food and the ice cream bar. Oh my goodness. There is so much
Oh,
deliciousness.
we're gonna come back to that for
I
sure.
figured. I
Um,
figured we were.
For sure. So there are all of these fantastic like signature restaurants on the ship, and you can choose between them. And so I sailed on the sailing. I had a room to myself, and the stateroom next to me was Amy and her husband Chuck. And so we wanted to make sure that we both, that all three of us got to have some meals together, that Amy and I had some meals together, that Amy and Chuck had some date nights. And so we did a little bit of dividing and conquering. So between the three of us, we ate at every single restaurant on board the ship. And so we started off at a place that was called The Wake. What was kind of funny is, there are two places on the ship that will do a full like sit down brunch in terms of that sort of dining experience. And it was available at The Wake and another place called Lucky Lotus by Razzle Dazzle. And funny enough, it just worked out in our schedules where we ate at those places 2 meals back to back. So our first night we had dinner at The Wake, and then the next morning Amy and I had brunch at The Wake. But The Wake is the kind of like American style steakhouse on board the ship. And I tell you what, from the moment that they sat down that beautiful, whatever the heck crock it was full of fresh baked bread, I was like
Deliciousness.
beside myself.
Yes.
It was so delicious and so good. Our service was wonderful wherever you go. And another
Everywhere.
thing, if you have ever been on a sailing, you have probably experienced the moment where your service team wants you to fill out a survey. They're asking you for superior ratings because, unfortunately, those things help those folks keep their jobs. That like excellent service, that reputation of excellent service. And that is so important, right? An incredibly important thing is that level of service. However, at Virgin, that is not a thing.
I don't think I heard anyone say anything about that once.
No. In fact, instead, what we would get is we would get a little survey that would pop up on our app that
Yes.
would say, do you have 5 or 10 seconds to let us know how things are going?
Like in the
And then
middle
you
of
would
our
just,
being there.
yes, and you would just fill out like, yes, here's a little happy I heart emoji for for how much I love it, or like here's a neutral face emoji. And that's how they were measuring what our experience was like, and that was so cool. There is also a restaurant on board that is called Gunbae, which is the Korean barbecue place. And Amy and Chuck did that. And what's interesting about Gunbae is that it is actually a communal dining experience.
Isn't that
So,
interesting? Yeah, it's one of those things we want to make sure that you hear now so
yes,
that
that
when
you
you get
know
on
about.
board, you know that it is communal dining. What does
So was
communal
that
dining
Chuck's
mean?
favorite
Oh,
experience?
how did you know? Yes, how did you know? Noddea, would you like to explain what that means?
Yes. So what
Okay.
that means is at Gunbae, because it is the style of Korean barbecue, which also is very much based on communal eating, and there's also like a demonstration sort of aspect to it quite often. And so Amy and Chuck were seated with another couple, and I actually think this is pretty cool. And from what I gathered, this ended up kind of being, I don't know that I would say a highlight per se, but I think it was interesting for Chuck to kind of get this perspective. It was a trio of college
Girls.
girls.
Yep.
And it was great because they gave Chuck the ins and outs of like all
They
the other places
did.
that they have eaten so
They
far and like what
did.
was good and what they liked and
They
what they
did.
didn't. And so I actually feel like it kind of
It,
warmed you two up to know like for what to expect from a couple of other places that you
100%.
ate. Um,
100%.
but that is very much
It
like a highly
just, oh,
stylized
Amy, if you
dining
would have been with
experience.
us when we walked up and she told us about I'm just, Amy, you seen the look on his
To be
face.
fair, I did already know that about Gunmate, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, I
I'd
don't
have
know
been
how
like,
I missed it.
I'm not eating there unless I'm at a table with just my
Okay,
peeps. Thanks.
but the food was good. I will tell you. And we are going
Good.
like with a group on our next sailing, and that will be the food was very good. I liked it, and something that they allowed us to do was to you can pretty much do kind of like a family style, which of course my husband is another like yeah, no. But it was family style like for him and I, and then the other couple did their family style, and the girls could do theirs. So doing it that way, I never would have tried all of the things that were on the menu. And our server recommended that. So we ate everything that, and there are things that I never would have eaten that were delicious. I mean, they were really good. So that part worked out that we liked the food. It ended up, the experience was just fine. Different people are different. You don't know what you're going to get for sure. You know what I mean? So yeah, we made the best of it and it was fun. But yeah, Noddea. So as Chuck saw Noddea.
So yeah, that was funny. That was funny. So speaking of things that you never thought you would eat before and that you weren't expecting, let's talk real quick about Test Kitchen. So
Lord.
Test Kitchen is a restaurant that is on board the Virgin Voyages ships, and it is an experimental dining
Experimental dining experience.
Experimental dining
Uh-huh.
experience. And what that
Mm-hmm.
means is that when you get your menu, they switch it up between menus A, B, and C based on the dates of your sailing. And there is a vegetarian slash vegan meal, and then there is a non-vegetarian slash vegan menu. And they only tell you the main ingredient of each course. And they create this experimental meal based around that. And so um, we had heard a few things. One was it's a little strange. We also heard you might want to make sure that you save some time to get some pizza later or go to the galley because it's also not a big meal.
Filling.
Like these
Yeah,
aren't
not
really
filling.
heavy, like
Mm-hmm.
filling portions. And so,
Mm-hmm.
um, boy, talk about
But let's talk about what Nadia's
jumping
idea
outside
was. Nadia, though,
the
don't
comfort
wait.
zone.
What was your idea, though? That we pair the
So,
drinks with the food.
yes. So Virgin has a thing that's called Sip and Savor, and you can put this on your bar tab, and they curate these pairings of either foolproof partial proof or zero proof cocktails to go along with the meal. And so between Amy, Chuck, and I, we each got one of those. So Amy and Chuck got the full proof and the half proof cocktails. I got the zero proof, and we all kind of sipped and traded with one another and shared. And thank goodness, because I'm not going to lie, my friends, to get through some of the adventurous eating that I was about to do,
we needed some foolproof alcohol. Me either.
I hit at least, well, there was a moment where I was like, Amy, I think I'm going to need this. Thank you very much. Like zero apologies, right? Like me just taking the drink right away from her. I'm like, and feel free to have this one that you liked over here. But 100%. Our meal began with a mushroom pate.
That actually
and I am a big
delicious.
Mushroom girl.
Me too.
Yes.
It was
Amy
really
Fisher,
good.
Not for you.
No,
obviously.
No,
and
I'm allergic.
She could not have that. Yes.
We prefer you not having allergy
and then, board, correct. Our next course, I was like, oh, buckle up, because this is not for me. Was caviar, egg yolk, and smoked peas. And
Noddea, we have to tell them about this.
What texture would that food item have?
Grossness. Okay, hold on. Noddea does not do eggs.
No, I don't.
No, I'm very aware. I'm very aware that Noddea does not eat eggs.
They are not. So,
well, they know now.
Okay,
hold on. No, by eggs.
So Nadia's gonna order, right? She says, "Is there something different that I can do? I don't like eggs."
Because they let you cross over between the two menus. Now, the non-vegetarian vegan menu said caviar, egg yolk. It didn't mention these peas, not anywhere. But then the vegan vegetarian menu just says olive oil, caviar. And I was like, am I about to oh, okay. So they bring over, and like they're in these like beautiful like glass things, domes, like they're
and it's smoky.
They're telling us put it on slow motion 0.5.
Yes,
they did. Know how to tell us how to video this moment.
Yes,
but I am already panicked because I see it. I can see it, Amy. I can see that there is egg, and it's coming right at me,
right in front of her face.
And so they sit it down, and I was like,
"No, Amy, you don't." I just started crying because I was laughing so hard. And the server is like, "What's going on?"
What's wrong with you people?
I order?
I said, because it is so important to me that I am polite to anyone in the service industry, right?
We both are.
So we both are. I'm
like, you are very, very kind.
Yes. But
so I said,
she was not expecting the egg.
No, or peas. And so I said, I got the olive oil caviar, and he goes, "Is right there." And I go, "Oh, I see." Barely, but I see. And so, like a total champ, I did taste the olive oil caviar, and I did taste some peas.
She did.
And I was like, and that is a thing I did.
Not gonna
actually, the number of times that Amy, Chuck, and I said, well, that's a thing that we tried, or that's a thing that we did. But here's the thing, you guys. Like, I am now talking for several minutes about my hatred for egg and peas, but yet I still have zero complaints about this experience because it was such a beautifully curated experience and such a cool concept.
Like, I think you said like your husband and like Chucky would be ones that would love that food, right?
Chucky and Kaylin would go on like a bro date to the test kitchen, and they would come back and be like, look at what
yes.
Like
for us it was like
their best lives. I'll just do like the quickest recap ever of like the rest of the food. Our next course was scallops with ham. We did not like that. Our main course was a fillet of either beef or venison, and it had some like a beet sauce with
and blueberries.
and blueberries.
That
Like
was
it
good.
should not have been good. It was good.
It was good.
And then just a wonderful chocolate themed dessert at the
Dessert.
end. It was such a
Delicious.
great experience. And honestly, like for as much as I didn't love that meal,
Mhm.
that was some of the most fun that I had on the whole trip with
Oh,
Amy
I
and
would
Chuck
agree. We had so
because
much fun.
we couldn't stop laughing. And also
Yeah.
like you guys to go to this kind of a dining experience in a city like Chicago or New York or Atlanta, you would spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars for this kind of an experience that we had that was just included on our sailing. And that's incredible. And I think too that
And the
it's like,
server was
well,
good too.
yes,
The server
absolutely.
was
And
good.
I think that like for me personally, like I naturally bond and connect through food and drink and sharing that with people. Like I
Mhm.
love small group dinners and
Yes.
brunches and one-on-one times. Like one of my favorite things to do in the world with Amy Fisher is like, can we just go out for dinner
Yeah.
somewhere? Like, can we just like eat and catch up? And I mean, it can be dinner that's like chicken fingers and fries, which
Yeah, it
by the
doesn't
way,
matter what
Which
it
we do
is.
you,
regularly.
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
we
but
do
just to
regularly.
know, but this part is
No chicken
important to know
fingers.
for people. There are no chicken fingers
No
anywhere on
chicken
board.
fingers on Virgin
They
Voyages,
have like
but
grilled chicken,
Do
that
they
kind
have
of thing. But
fries?
they do have
yes,
fries and
and
they
they're
are
Okay.
good.
good.
So
Okay.
good. But some other restaurants that you can find on board, there is an incredible Italian restaurant that's called
Oh,
Extra Virgin.
I think that was our
And I
favorite,
would,
wouldn't you say? Typically, we
yes,
kind of
yeah,
think
absolutely.
differently, but all three of us, I think that was our favorite.
Absolutely. With just incredible, like fresh pasta and like multiple courses. They'll build like a custom charcuterie board for you. It's incredible. And then they also do, you guys, for dessert. I will not pronounce it correctly, so I'm going to skip on it altogether. But there is a dessert course where they bring a table, like, or bring a cart to your table. Think of it almost kind of like when you see a cheese cart in like a very high-end restaurant. This is the dessert cart. They have three different flavors of fresh made gelato. They make fresh gelato and ice cream on the ship every day. If you think that you are spoiled by pool deck soft serve, wait until you experience ice cream and gelato on Virgin Voyages because you will be changed as a human. It is so good. But then after they scoop out like whatever gelato it is that you want, they offer you either chocolate, pine nuts, almonds, or meringue to put on top. And then they do this thing where they pour, if you would like, it's what they suggest, they pour espresso over your ice cream and over your toppings.
But hold
It's
on, it
delicious.
doesn't stop there.
It doesn't stop there. And then they have this incredible house-made whipped cream that's not just a whipped cream.
Oh,
It's
and it
infused
is
with
real
special
whipped cream. It's not
flavors.
fake whipped cream.
Yes.
It's real whipped cream.
Yes. And then you can also choose from a variety of different liqueurs that complement this as well, and you can have that poured
So I had
in.
Bailey's. I had
One of us did
Bailey's.
that,
I had
but it was
chocolate
just
whipped cream Bailey's, and it was
delicious.
delicious.
So delicious. And that's the only restaurant that I had the same, I don't want to say the same kind of meal, but I had dinner there twice. I ate there with Amy and Chuck, and then I also went back myself for the last night by myself while Amy and Chuck were at dinner at Pink Agave, which
Yeah,
is the
which
Mexican
was
restaurant.
very good. Yeah.
But not only did I get our same server, Danny,
Yes, she's
who makes
awesome.
you feel like you are eating in her kitchen at
Yes.
home. I mean, just
Mm.
an angel of a server. So fantastic.
And remembered us,
But
like even with everybody being on board, she said to Nadia,
oh, for
like, "Where
sure.
are your?"
Oh,
Yeah,
for sure.
she's
Yeah, she's like, where are your people? Where are your people
yeah,
from? Like, and was so bummed that it was just me until I was like, but listen, I'm a little party too.
yeah. You're
But
like,
on
I
that
made them go.
night, I had just a sorbet and I was blown over, and it was so delicious. But
I couldn't get
there's
over
also
the freshness of the pasta.
yes,
I mean, it was not
yes,
like you were
absolutely,
on. Yeah,
absolutely,
it was in the sauce. I was a little nervous about. It
yes,
was delicious.
incredible. And Amy mentioned the word fresh, and quite frankly, that was every food everywhere. Like my mind was blown by how delicious all the food was and all the access we had to fresh fruits and vegetables. I had fresh fruit for breakfast every morning and sometimes for snacks throughout the day. And it was just So good.
Yes, we would have
Unbelievable.
that. Every night we
Um,
would have some fruit when we went back to the room.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. And then it's funny, right? Because like we eat all this delicious food and and then it's like, well, let's put our swimsuits now and go to the spa.
I know, right?
Let's put our swimsuits now and go to the pool. And that just felt right, right?
Yes, no judgment at all from
Yeah, yeah,
anybody. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Amy, is there anything else that you wanted to share about food? Because I know
Oh my
that
gosh.
you, yeah,
Okay, I loved Razzle Dazzle though. The flavors of the food were delicious. I really just can't explain the flavors were for being on board and having like night after night, meal after meal, the quality of this food and the taste of the food and the freshness. I'm telling it was extraordinary. So I wanted to give Razzle Dazzle just a little something because I really really liked that beer, and I think I liked that. Not that you didn't or Chuck didn't, but I think I rated that higher than both of you did for
you
me.
did, you did. Yeah, you
So
said that was one of your favorites.
one of my
And here's
favorites
something
for sure.
too for people that are listening right now, because there's been some questions about Razzle Dazzle being different on different ships. And that is true because there is Razzle Dazzle, which think of regular Razzle Dazzle is kind of like it's a very upscale vegan vegetarian diner with a few other options. And then there is a new version that's called Lucky Lotus by Razzle Dazzle. And that's very upscale Chinese. And that's what we had. So we had the way that I would interpret it is that we had that for dinner. And then when we returned for brunch, we got a taste of what that upscale, like vegan brunch
I
was
thought
like.
brunch
And
was
holy
delicious too.
cow, delicious.
Yeah.
And there are also non-vegan options as well.
Yeah.
But oh my goodness, just yes, delicious. So, so,
So,
so delicious.
but I will say
And
that so I just didn't want to miss that. But then the pink
yes,
agave, that was, see, I keep saying delicious. I wish I could think of a different word. It was lovely. It
That's their
was,
Mexican restaurant. Is that
yes.
correct?
And they
yes,
had
yep.
the best, okay, oh, this
What'd you
corn.
eat, Amy? What'd you
Okay.
eat?
Oh, I'm going to tell you everything that I ate. So they had the guacamole was absolutely delicious. Then they had the grilled. It was a grilled corn with like a spicy. They said aioli type thing with lime. I don't do spice, so I was nervous. Not spicy at all. So those were like your small plates that I started with. And I will be honest and tell you that I asked for another thing of corn because it was so good. So I got 2 things of corn. Then I got an enchilada. And I'm trying to remember what was the other thing that I got. It was delicious. That's all I can tell you. No, it was so good. It was Chuck got a roasted duck. Oh, I got the ribeye. I got the ribeye steak. So I got a ribeye. Chuck got the duck, and it was delicious. Like I don't even know. I got to come up with a new word, you guys. It was so good. I loved it. I liked the experience. I liked our server. There is not one restaurant that even the test kitchen, the experience was so much fun. Like there's not really, but as far as the food goes, you didn't go wrong in any of the restaurants or the
No.
yeah.
And when I was sitting there at my dinner by myself at Extra Virgin, and here's another thing too, lots of solo sailors
Yeah.
on Virgin Voyages. So if you ever thought,
I would agree.
I think I'd like to do a cruise, but I don't know who I would want to go with, and like, is it weird to go alone? So many solo sailors
And they
on
have like
the Scarlet Lady.
like a group
Yes,
for solo
and
sailors. And you,
they
oh
had
my God.
they had solo sailor
They did
meetups
stuff
almost every
all the
single day.
time.
So
Yeah.
cool. But I was sitting at my dinner at Extra Virgin and I got a text from Amy and it just said my name in all caps and it said, Noddea, this food is incredible. And I was like, well, good. I'm glad it was a good choice. I'm glad that that's where your last dinner is before we leave the ship. But one more thing on food that absolutely needs to be touched on is how incredible the food was at the beach club.
Oh, and that we're going to talk about the beach
So
club anyway. So
good. Let's make
that
this our
was
beach club segue.
so
This is our beach
good.
club segue.
Yeah. So, surprise, surprise. I wanted to get a cabana for the day. So I told Noddea, like, you're coming to the cabana with us, and like you can't tell me no because it'll hurt my feelings. And so she's like, I
And I
guess I'll
wouldn't.
take one for the team. Yeah.
Yep.
So I will say for Noddea and I speak for her for a minute. It was perfect. We both like to we laid in the sun. I love that there's a pool there. There was like more of a quiet pool. And then of course we wanted to go to the other pool. It was like a little more loud and rowdy. I love where our cabana was located. It was perfect. And it was just a kind of chill out and lounge day. Chuck and I did walk to the ocean. That wasn't even that far, but like the pool was in front of us. And so we did walk, get our feet in the ocean a little bit. We really both liked it very much. My husband, not so much, because knowing now what I know, I would do an excursion for him on Bimini next time, because he's not one to just sit, which I know I talk about him a lot on the podcast. So people, he's super fun. He's a lot of fun to be with. He's just not one to really kind of chill. So he really did a pretty good job of trying to chill. Took, quite a few walks, but I think his complaint was, okay, there was just not enough for me to do there. But for me personally and Noddea, I mean, like I read a book, I got some sun. I mean, I'm amazed I still have sun from that day, I think, at the beach. And the food is incredible. And we had our own server that was like assigned to us. Your bar tab with the cabana, you got $100 bar tab, like additional $100 that you could spend for the day. It was included with your cabana. So the three of us really aren't big drinkers. I mean, we just aren't. Like, I love a glass of wine or a mixed drink at the pool, but what was cool is that you could do virgin drinks. So like Noddea and Chuck both ordered quite a few like virgin drinks. Chuck likes specialty coffee. So, but you could get all of that there. You have your server. They bring you the food. You don't walk up to get it. Like, they bring it to you. There's nothing that you have to do other than sit there and like enjoy yourself. But that was another one though, that there was really good corn that day too. There was
my
corn.
Goodness.
There was, I'm trying to remember everything that was on that menu because we tried everything.
There were a variety of different salads as well.
Yes.
Like there was a salad that was like mango based. There was also a really great like cucumber and jicama salad. People talked a lot about how much they loved the beans and rice as well as the jerk chicken.
Yes,
like I would say that those were some of the more popular things.
And I don't do spice, and it was really, really good.
There was a rum cake and a tropical fruit salad for dessert. But I tell you what, I could have eaten that corn for a week. It was so good. Like everything about it was just so good,
delicious,
and fresh. And like later that night, like when I went to dinner, I just kind of kept thinking like, I love this, and this is so good. It was the night that I was at Extra Virgin for the second time. And the server kept teasing me because I think I only ordered like 3 out of the 5 courses or something. And she's like, you came here without more room in your belly? And I said, listen, I was living my best life at the beach club. I ate all the things. And she was like, oh, I understand.
I get it.
She was like, I get it.
I will say,
but overall, like,
in like getting the transportation, like from the ship to the island, that really didn't take us, or to the beach club, didn't take us terribly long. I didn't like that you have to go through where they rent the golf carts if you want a golf cart, because it just felt very everybody kind of in your face. That was uncomfortable for me. If that was one I didn't like.
There was some heckling, like when we were all on the tram that went from the ship to the beach club. Yeah, like there are lots of locals that are like,
do you know that? I think just letting people know that ahead of time, because we didn't expect it. And so it was kind of weird, but it was fine. I mean, I didn't ever feel like I wasn't safe or anything. It was just
not at all. It was nothing like that at all. But yeah, I loved the beach club. And speaking of ports and stopping places, Amy, why don't you tell us about your experience in Belize?
So I learned so much about Belize, and I kept kind of giving Noddea these facts about it. One day we were just sitting together, I think like at the pool or something. I'm like, did you know we had a tour guide that picked us up at the ship, and then in order for us to get to where we were going, our excursion was the caves, the underground caves, tubing. So we did like this tubing under the okay. I am claustrophobic, but I'm like, I can do this. It's really important to me to do. I like to do things like this, like kind of adventurous things with my husband. One of our favorite things that we ever did was when we did the Adventure by Disney, and there were some things out of my comfort zone. So I'm like, okay, I can do this. Well, then I started thinking about it. I'm like, I'm just going to check YouTube and see if there's like a video, maybe help me be prepared so I can feel a little more confident about going. So I watched the video and I'm like, hell no. Sorry, Lord, I cannot do this. And I start getting super anxious. Very long story short, I go over to Noddea, knock on the door, and I said, I don't think I can do this. And I show her the video, and she's so sweet. She's like, okay, well, no, if you don't, like, let's talk through this. And ended up that I'm like, okay, I can do this. Like, I'm going to conquer this fear. I can do it. What I knew that Chuck didn't know I knew, but I knew I could go over with him. And then if I decided that, if I saw that where the caves weren't chickened out, you enter and exit in the same place. And there was actually a space there that had like the bathrooms, ahead of a restaurant. So I could sit there if I needed to. But I'm thinking, okay, if the tube will go through like these little, the little ways to get you down, then I should be able to fit in there. And I did. And I'm really glad I did it. It was a really cool experience. I will never be able to articulate how beautiful the caves were and how they sparkled. I tried to take pictures, and the water was the clearest, cleanest, purest water. And it was just refreshing. It wasn't overly cold, but it didn't seem stagnant hot. Like the caves are a little warm, so it was refreshing. So we just got on the tubes, and then, you're with a group, and there were 6 of us, and they kind of tie you all up to these tubes, and they take you around where you can go underground and you can just see all the formations. There were lizards, so I thought of Amy. There were bats, so that kind of freaked me out a little. They give you rules, and they're pretty much like,
tell me that there were bats.
Oh, real bats. Yeah, there were bats that were hanging, and there were bats that were flying all over the place. So, and they're very serious about, like, if you fall, be very careful, because it is very, I will say, I had a spinal fusion years ago, and so I have chronic issues with my back. I have recently lost a lot of weight, and so my back makes you strong. I think that was good, because had I not done that, is what I'm trying to say, I would be very honest with people about doing the excursion. And like I had said to Noddea, I really think that you should come with us, like, come on. And she goes, I think that I'm going to pass. And I'm so glad she didn't, because she has talked about it. It's not her knee and having trouble with her knee. I will say, like, getting down to where you were going, and even kind of walking to where you were going, that was definitely not like just this easy walk, if that makes sense. It was a lot of stairs and a lot, at the end, after you've gone through, and then you have to go up these stairs. So I'm like, I forgot we went down these on the way up. But the overall experience, lunch was included. And so we had like an authentic Belizean meal that was prepared for us, totally out of my comfort zone. And I went all in on that, and it was delicious. And it was just a really, really cool experience. This is where we met a couple that, that Noddea talking about. I adored these guys from like the time that we met them. And then the more you get to talk to them, it's one of my favorite things about sailing. And Chuck, who's very quiet, I mean, he is actually the one that kind of gravitated, like they were kind of sitting at a table, and they had been on the in the water with us. And so while we were waiting on the bus to go home, we had just started chatting. And then throughout the rest of the sailing, we talked to them and just really enjoyed their company. And it was it was one of their first Virgin sailings, but not the other. I think he did more.
It was Ricky's first cruise ever. So now he's ruined forever.
Yeah, he is. He's ruined forever. Yeah. So it was just, and then they had met some, like, we could have an episode just about these guys, because they were just
about our friends.
Our friends are amazing. And like they met some people, and I just love it because everybody's just so welcoming. And then like you felt like you knew those guys. And I mean, I wish we would have had more time, quite honestly, to even do like a dinner with them, or like I would 100% do like a sailing with that group. I thought they were They were amazing. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it was so funny because at one point, on our very last night on the sailing, I ran into Jason and Ricky, and they were with more friends at dinner. And I said, okay, how many people did you come here with? And they were like, Everybody is just, we've just all met here." And I love that so
and I love
much.
that they were so like every time they'd see us and they would introduce us to whoever it was that they were
Oh,
with. And
for
then
sure.
I
For
love that
sure.
so
It
much. I love
was,
it.
yeah, it did feel so communal in that way. And that was really cool. And so while Amy and Chuck were in Bailey's City, I stayed on the ship that day and I did all kinds of exploring. So I first got some really good quality time in the spa. And then after that, a couple of our fellow agents were like, we want to see all of these different kinds of spaces. And they wanted to see specifically, where can you lounge? And so I went to the pool everywhere. Yes, so I went to the pool. And then there's a deck above the pool that has even more lounge spaces. And then there are all these different kinds of very comfy, almost kind of intimate, like loungy spaces on some of the lower decks, like deck 6 and deck 7. And that was so cool. Nope, I misspoke, on deck 7. And that was lovely, like to find just places where I could lounge and read for a while. I think I mentioned on our previous podcast, I actually I worked a good bit on this sailing. I clocked in about 30 hours and
not just like
I
for Goofy
did.
Getaways work. Like you have
Yes,
a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
full-time
Yep. And
job
also,
that, yeah.
yeah, also for the
So,
theater. And
yeah.
so, but yet within that time, within the time that we were on this sailing, not only did I work that much, I read a book and a half on this sailing. And that I think is a really great testimony about the relaxing spaces and just the general exhale of what Virgin Voyages is, because it offered you that opportunity to be active and to engage in different levels of fitness, wellness, entertainment, but then also just to kick back and relax. And that was so, so cool. But speaking of entertainment, one of the things that we also mentioned on the previous podcast is that I was like, excuse me, what do you mean Virgin Voyages that you skip over the Broadway style entertainment and you do something totally different? I wasn't sure that I was going to like that. And I did. The very first show that we saw was called Ships in the Night. And you might be thinking yeah, you might not be thinking well, that sounds very uplifting, but it was this beautiful message about how easy it is to become lonely in environments that are very full, whether it be our work, on a train, on a street, that even though we're surrounded by people, we can feel lonely. And then how important it is to find human connection. And this story was told with music that we know, like all of this really great pop and rock and country music that is entirely rearranged and reimagined for this show. And gorgeous choreography, gorgeous projections, but contemporary dance and modern dance and lyrical dance, but then jazz and hip hop. I was floored by how beautiful it was. And the other thing that I love so much, for those that know me personally or have followed my social accounts, you know that socially I am a very open and very liberal human being, and that I believe that all kinds of humans deserve to live their best life and to have the same rights and privileges as everyone else. And I loved that there were so many characters in the show where you didn't think to question, well, what gender is this person right now? Or are these two people in a relationship? Are they friends or whatever? It was just such a celebration of life and the human experience. And I loved that. But it
Can I
wasn't
say not
just,
even in the show? Can I say to you, and
yes,
not even in the
not even in the show.
On board. And, obviously not, I echo and support exactly what you just said. And that's, one of the reasons that, and I know Amy is the same way, but I would even just say on the sailing itself, but never uncomfortable. It shouldn't never be uncomfortable anyway, but like never even, I just felt like everybody could be who they were so authentically with no judgment from anybody. It
Yes.
really, so I'm sorry, but the show,
Incredible.
yes,
No.
but
That
on the
was
sailing as well.
well, and that's a really great segue into I went to on the same day, I went to a show, the same day as your excursion, I went to a show that was called Lights, Camera, Drag.
Yeah.
And
And we missed
it
that one,
was
so.
yes, Amy and you two were still on your way. You were on a bus.
Yeah, we
You were
were.
You were hanging out with Jason and
That
Ricky.
is
So,
true. That is
I
true.
would say we both won.
We did.
But in Lights, Camera, Drag, it is a show that is hosted by the Diva, which is the ship's drag queen that's a part of the Happenings cast.
Dixie,
And this
right?
show, yeah, Dixie Crystals from Denver, where Jason and Ricky are from. But as it turned out, like the show is all about putting the diva into these like iconic moments in film throughout history, but in a really funny and comedic way, and then also with really great audience interaction. And a much older couple, like I'm talking like close to my parents' age, probably sits down at the table in front of me, and I thought, ooh, we will see how this goes, because at first glance, I thought, this gentleman doesn't look particularly comfortable right now. And then Dixie is starting to like go through some things, and she's like, guess what? We're going to do every time that you hear me say this, you're going to clap and you're going to say cut. Guess who was the first person to clap and say cut? This man in front of me. And he was so actively involved in the whole show. And at one point, his wife came up to me after the show. This was very sweet. And she said, you've been here before, haven't you? And I said, oh no, this is the first time that I've seen it. And then she kind of like, I think she thought she was catching me like in a fib. But as our conversation progressed, I found out that she thought I was the ship's hostess, who is also a curvy, very facially expressive redhead. And it was very sweet, because she was on her way, like telling me about how much they loved the entertainment on the ship and how great they thought it was. And so just very special, right? That you would see so many different kinds of folks. And when you would talk to people after, the number of them that would say like, oh, I wasn't sure that I was going to like that. Or, like that, I didn't really think that that was going to be my thing, but I liked it. And like, we're talking some folks that would probably think about the world in a very different way than what the three of us feel. And what we're passionate about, that they would think very differently. And, they were all in. And that I thought was really incredibly special, because there were just so many different kinds of entertainment on this ship that I really enjoyed. I mean, bingo on our very first morning. I mean, doing sitting down and like getting ready to play bingo before noon on a Monday. Like, yes, please. Like, so great. Such a great time.
And we were in glittery
green.
Glitter. We were,
I mean, when is Noddea not in glitter though is probably a better question.
But
we were glitterally ready for bingo.
At our brunch, everyone just kept stopping us like, oh, you two are beautiful.
Like, it was very sweet. But like there were like speed puzzle tournaments and comedy and magic. Something that we didn't get to do that would be on my list for next time is the artist from the Happenings cast. We'll talk about the Happenings cast in just a minute. Did a community art mural on the last night. That reminded me a lot of the mural at our Epcot Festival of the Arts, but an opportunity for everyone to participate. But I will say, like, these incredibly beautiful, like fully staged shows, blown away. Like I talked about Ships in the Night. There was also a show that we went to that was called Dual Reality. And this show is a new contemporary take on Romeo and Juliet with the Montague and Capulet houses, where from the moment that you enter, you are given a color band that is either red or blue, and you sit on one side of the stage or other. It's a galley style stage, so like the stage is long and narrow, and people are seated all along the lines on each side. And you're encouraged to root for and encourage the team, the house that you are representing. And so Amy and Chuck and I were on the blue side of things. And as you're watching, like if you know the story of Romeo and Juliet, and quite frankly, like who does not, right? To a certain extent, like it becomes very clear that this is what you're watching and that this is what you're seeing. But then as the show continues to progress, you see what would happen if Juliet was brave enough to say it doesn't have to be this way and encourages people to shed their skin of what it is that their house is kind of in opposition to from the other side. And then little by little, like all the people in the audience start throwing their bands in and like onto the main stage
And
where
it's not ever where like they're expecting you or telling you to do it. Like you just do it.
no, it just started happening like naturally. And then all of a sudden the red team and the blue team on stage, they're all just dressed in their black underclothes beneath like their color like accents. And when I say underclothes, I don't mean like they're in their underwear. I'm saying like the base of their outfits per se. But it was told through like all of this beautiful like acrobatic things and like juggling. It felt like a very romanticized circus, if you will. It was so gorgeous and so beautiful. And then ended with this music and monologue about why would we continue to have division if we have a choice in being together. I cried. It was so beautiful. It was timely. But it was so well done. And the cast members were just so talented. I found out later, Amy, we didn't talk about this, but I found out later that the production company that creates the original shows for Virgin Voyages, they're called the Seven Fingers. And it's the same company that collaborated to bring Water for Elephants to life on Broadway.
Way.
So
That's really cool.
Yeah. But I was just so impressed. It was so beautiful. And then there was also weird entertainment. Like on the very last night, I went to something that was called the Untitled Dance Party thing. And I'm not going to lie, I couldn't come up with a different name for it if I tried, because it was just a big old dance party in the Red Room, which is like the convertible event space for Virgin Voyages. And it was so weird and interesting to see like this stage that's moving and the people moving around it, and you've got the cast members that are dancing on stage, but then the cast members would come down into the crowd and they would teach you a part of the choreography that they're doing, and then you would do it, and then they'd go back up on stage and do it. Or if you were like my little group, we just kind of stood off to the side and we're like, yeah, you all do that, that's really cool, we're gonna watch you do that.
You look great.
You look great. Keep going. We're rooting for you. But it was just so fun. And like the entertainment was also interesting. And, the thing that I love the most about it is the happenings cast. We talked in the previous episode about how there's no cruise director. There's no like captain of all the activities. Like it's a team of 12 people that help bring all of these events and all of these spaces, whether it be trivia or Amy's VHS 80s workout class, or when I went to the Broadway dance choreography class. It's this group of people who they're like bringing the hype and the culture and like the artsiness to all of this and making you feel like you belong. And I loved it so much. And I'm aware of how strange this sounds, but like when you go to Disney and you get to have these experiences, like these character interactions, and when you come home, you miss that, like you miss them, you miss being around that. I miss being around the happenings cast. They're so special. Contagious. And they just,
because we did trivia. We did trivia one day, which was so much fun. Lauren was so much fun. Yeah.
We tied for first. Yes. A little shout out to Lauren the Bounce, who was our favorite member of the happenings cast. Just who I believe was a teacher, worked at a school before she joined the happenings cast, and such a cool human. But my gosh, like, so many cool experiences throughout the ship that are so unique to Virgin Voyages. And the number one thing that we have to tell you about that was just like, yes, we are so all in on this. It is so fun. Is a party that is called Scarlet Night. Talk about making whatever you want it to be, right? And the Happenings cast was so all in on wanting to make sure that you had an experience that you wanted for Scarlet Night. They even did something, not just on Scarlet Night evening, but throughout a lot of the ship. They had something that was called a glam station. So if you were like, I would like some sparkles, please, or like, can you give me a little glitter? Like they would do like these little like touch-up stations to give you like a little extra glam on the ship. And I thought
I
that was
love
so much
that.
fun.
Yes, and the
So much fun.
entire
Cool.
ship. And there was not anybody that I did not see that was in red.
Yes, we saw no one that wasn't dressed for Scarlet Night. And that was so cool because that party could be whatever you wanted it to be. Like there were people that were like all out, like party dancing hardcore, like the moment that Amy and Chuck and I got there. But we went to a different area of the ship that had like this very chill live music. We got some drinks and we just sat and lounged and listened to some music for a little bit. And they also had this area, like I thought this was both I would say both like a little edgy and also very sweet at the same time. But if you've ever heard of like the missed connections section of like
I thought
classified,
that was so cool. I think you
they
got pictures
had
of that, didn't
a
you?
yes, there
Yeah.
was a missed connections net with like messages in a bottle and little tags that people could fill out. And it would be everything from like, I'm here with my spouse and we're celebrating 15 years to like our very first cruise together, like we're the best girlfriends ever, to my favorite was to the cute boy I locked eyes with on the steps yesterday. I hope you know I think you're gorgeous and I hope you're having a great cruise. Like just so cute. So
Okay.
like,
Okay.
Uh-huh.
yeah. So I think that was a little bit of the whole like, hey, depending on what you're looking for, you might be able to find it. So there were people that were using it as a literal misconnections moment. But there were like photo booth like opportunities in various locations. And then the party went up to the pool deck
Yes.
and
Which
the
we know we'll
Happenings
do
cast did a big
different. We'll do
oh
something different this
yes,
time.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Because what you could do is you could be on the pool deck where all the action was, or you could go up one deck and look down on everything and get a full view of everything because like the cast of Dual Reality came out and did like an act like in and around the pool. The Happenings cast performed at the pool. It was just so cool. And like this party just kept going on and on and on in so many different areas. So it starts off in all of deck seven, then it goes up to the pool deck. Then it goes down to the manor, which if you follow Virgin Voyages on social or if you follow us on social, you might see this beautiful, glittery, like sparkly, like mirror maze hallway. And that is the hallway that goes to the manor, which is one of the convertible event spaces.
That's where my
Aboard the
workout
ship. And
was.
like that's where your workout was. That's where like lights, camera,
Hey.
drag was and the disco.
Yep.
Just so cool for like countless opportunities for like photo ops and like getting together with friends and just unreal, just beautiful, gorgeous spaces. But I would be remiss if I did not mention how much I loved It's a Rock Show Okie, which is the live band karaoke sing-along event. There was a 90s version and a classic rock version. I had the best time for the 90s version. Like I stood up like on the second level of the event space and just kind of sang along from up there. Amy and Chuck got to come to that one as well. And then I went to the classic rock one all by myself. I was right down front, like living my best life, partying it up with people and singing along. It was great. It was so great. I can't reiterate how good of a time we had and how it always felt like there was something to do, but
100%.
yet I always felt like I had the opportunity to relax. The
Yeah.
spa
To
was
do nothing if you
gorgeous.
want.
Amy,
We
would you
didn't talk
agree that the
enough.
spa was so
Yes, I
beautiful?
liked the spa very much. Yeah, I love the heated spaces too. So I
Mhm.
loved that. But I think we also have not talked enough, honestly, about the hammock. I spent time in the hammock, like reading or just like out at sea when I mean, that's where I had breakfast several mornings. Like Chuck and I would sit out there and who would have thought that I liked the hammock, but I loved that.
I'm not gonna lie, when it came time for me to learn about Virgin Voyages, and I feel like this happens for me almost for everything, like for where it's like I learn about a product, a park, a resort, and I will sort of internally fixate and kind of create this little vision of what I think a trip would be based around that thing. Like, for example, both of you know that when it comes to Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World, I'm obsessed with the hub grass. I just want to sit in the hub grass. I want to be there. I have like this like relaxing moment there. And there are like different places at various resorts where it's like, I just want to be there. And I cannot tell you how grateful I am that the hammock did not disappoint. I had my own little personal countdown to Virgin Voyages and this sailing, not just because I knew that I wanted to have this experience, but because I knew I needed that break. I've been stressed and tired, and I've shared with you both before that I sleep the best on a cruise ship, and I couldn't wait to get in that darn hammock. And I thought, I'm not just going to bring a book, I'm going to bring books, plural, on this sailing. And I did. And you guys, here's something really interesting that I learned about the hammock. Granted, this comes from another sailor on the ship, and so it may not be true, but it makes sense. I have heard for sailors who experience seasickness on a sailing, the place where you want to be is the hammock because the hammock does not move your body in the same way that the ship does. It's the most chill, safe space that you can be for seasickness because it's not moving your body the way that the ship moves.
Maybe that's why they put one on every. Okay.
Maybe. But I mean, truly, just like the ultimate in relaxation, I loved our staterooms.
I did too.
I spent so much time. I napped
Mm-hmm.
every day in my stateroom, at least for a little while. But yeah, I can't wait to go back.
Oh, you
I
and me
cannot
both.
wait
I
to
mean,
go
our
back.
next sailing's in September, and I'm already like, I would like to go do
Yeah.
another one. Yeah, I agree.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And I would just say that like no matter what kind of adult traveler you are and what you're looking for, you're going to find something on the ship. Like if you are a solo traveler and you either want to keep to yourself or you want to meet other people, this, right?
Yeah.
Like there was a moment where um, Amy and Chuck and I were walking through a section of the ship. And that's another thing too. There's so many, just countless spaces for you to do
Yes.
whatever, not just
Anything.
outdoor relaxing spaces, but like areas to play games, areas to curl up and read a book, an area to like have like an intimate conversation or like a date night or to bring a group together to like sit around and have cocktails. But we walked past this really like joyful and like boisterous group. And I want to say it was like in the afternoon, wasn't it, Amy?
Yes. Yes.
And it was like, what is happening
Is
over there? And I
happening
was
here?
like, oh, it's the solo sailor meetup. And they were all
Yes.
playing Cards Against Humanity. Like
Yes.
just so funny. I was like, good for them. Like
Yes.
that's awesome. But I never felt like I was bored. I
No, me
never felt
either. Me
like
either.
wish I had something to do. I did have a few moments where I wished that some of my favorite activities that I really wanted to do didn't butt up against one another. Because there was just so much to do. I wanted more of that. But yeah, certainly like a couple of events and activities where I'm like, I would not miss that this time around that I did. So, you know, in some ways it does feel like a lot of the vacation planning that we do for our clients where we say like, don't worry about doing everything because you're not going to be able to. And this felt like that. Like you're not going to be able to eat every single bit of food. You could try.
You can
And quite
try,
frankly,
but
the staff, like they want to help you try.
they encourage
Um,
it. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Oh, and you know what? Speaking of food, we have not touched on this in great detail yet, but one of my favorite places on the ship, well, maybe not places because like the environment itself is not that wow, but it's like what it contains is an ice cream shop that's called Lick Me Till. And it is the most incredible, fresh made daily sorbet, ice cream, gelato, incredible. The most amazing flavors. Blood orange sorbet, apricot
Oh, they
sorbet.
had strawberry.
There was a raspberry
Oh,
rose, a strawberry milkshake ice
so
cream.
good. A butter pecan.
Yes, butter pecan. And there were also some boozy gelatos. Amy, you
Yes.
had the coconut something, right? You had a
Yes.
coconut
Like a
rum.
coconut rum.
And then I
Yes.
had I had a rum raisin
Yes.
flavored gelato. And quite frankly, I will think about that throughout my entire lifetime because it was that good.
Forever.
And then you could also choose what kind of cone you wanted. They had red velvet cones, vanilla
Mhm.
cones, and chocolate cones.
Chocolate cones. Or a dish.
So good.
If you're not a cone
Yeah,
person.
or a dish. But just absolutely delicious. And it would be so funny because there would never be
Get ice
judgment
cream.
if
No.
you showed up like twice in a day,
Yeah,
like they were like, "Oh, you're back for more." They would just be like, "Oh, what can I get you?"
What
Like
would
there
you
was like a
like
look in
now?
the eye where it's like, "I see you coming back
Uh-huh.
for more. Good for you." But just delicious, like
Yeah.
so delicious, and so many really great places throughout the ship just to get a quick snack. Like there was a place that was called the Social Club where it would kind of butt up next to the area that would have a lot of options for trivia nights and trivia mornings, trivia afternoons. But you could always get hot dogs, wings, and soft pretzels and popcorn there. But then we also found out, we didn't even notice this until like the second to last day, they had like fresh made like cake pops every day and like artisan marshmallows and fudge and all of this. And
All
it
included.
was so great.
It's not extra.
All
It's all
included.
included.
All included.
So good.
Just unbelievable. So I know that we've got to be getting to the part now where we start to wrap up. But before we wrap up, I did promise because they told me that they would listen. But do want to send big love to Jason, Ricky, Ryan, Michael, Jeff, and Dan.
I do.
Friends.
Yes, we need to. We're
because-
waving. Yeah, except they're probably listening, not watching. But yes, that's
Yeah. But
some
we
of
are
the
waving, and thank
highlight
you for
of.
watching.
Yeah, I would love to. I love the connections that we make, and sometimes I
Yes.
feel like finding your people that look at life kind of the same as you. And who would have ever thought that in a cave that Chuck and I decided to float in, that we would actually meet a couple that we ended up talking with. And would love to, sail again. That was just incredible.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
big shout out to
Absolutely.
them for sure. For sure.
Really special people that just
I agree.
made the experience all the better. And like for as much as I thought like Amy Fisher is probably already laughing at me knowing what I'm gonna say, but it's like I didn't go on the sailing to be like, I'm gonna make some new friends.
Mm-hmm.
I really like I wanted to read, I wanted to hang out with Amy and Chuck. I wanted to eat amazing food
and experience it. Like we just wanted to take it in. That was my thing too. Like, okay, I'm gonna go and experience it. And then it turned out being just an incredible experience.
Yeah, a huge part of that was just our time with the people, and not just the people that I've stayed in touch with, like those 6, but even people where it's like, oh, I think about that guy in the elevator, or like, oh, like I think about like Danny, our server, or it's cool. It's really, really cool, and I can't recommend it enough. Like if you're looking for an energetic time away, do it, right? Like the number of people that I've talked to that say to me, I don't really think I'm a cruise person, or I did that once and I don't need to do it again. I say to them, you need to do this.
Yes. And Noddea and I talked about doing a Goofy Getaways Virgin Voyage, because we love to do one on Disney Cruise Line every year. I would love to do something on Virgin for sure.
Let's
for
go
adults
all
only.
in Virgin Voyages.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The only other thing that I want to mention, and this was like probably this is probably the only thing I will say, the bed was not comfortable for me at all, for Chuck and I. And Noddea let me know, which I will do next time, that you can request a topper for those beds. So that is something that I will do next time. But if you're someone that has trouble, back or whatever, just to know that ahead of time, because I would have definitely done that.
I also found out from other sailors on the ship that in addition to that as an option, if you wanted different kinds of pillows, that you could also ask for different kinds of pillows as well.
Yeah, that's really
which is pretty cool.
They're all about service.
They are. They are. It was just such a wonderful experience of luxury, service, inclusivity, right? Like we talked about that earlier, that it felt like all kinds of folks got to show up and just be them, be their authentic
No
selves
judgment.
on
Yeah.
this ship without judgment, whatever it meant, like with this diverse, unique staff and just such a
Oh,
wide variety of adult ages on board. And it all felt
it,
so very special.
it
It
did.
all
I
felt
agree.
so very special. And
I knew that
it
I mean,
just,
I thought I was going to have fun, but never did I think it was going to be the experience that it was. And I can't stop talking about it to everybody.
oh, same,
Uh,
same.
yeah.
I mean, I mentioned on our previous podcast that it's like I am fully willing to make Virgin Voyages my entire personality moving forward.
Oh, gosh.
I truly, I can't get enough. And, you
Yeah.
know,
They got it
is
right
it,
with whatever, when they started from
oh,
the top down, they got it right.
on
Yeah.
so many levels, everything from the destinations
Yeah, but the
to the
food,
service
I still
to
can't figure out
the
how they
food.
got the food, such good tasting food on the,
I know,
I mean, night after
I
night
know.
after night.
And here's another thing I'm going to say too. Like going into this experience, I remember kind of thinking, I do not think that these ships are pretty.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
honestly think that they're not much to look
There,
at from the
yeah, from the
outside.
outside, but boy, inside,
Get inside. I mean,
yes.
truly, what what a testimony of it's what's inside that counts, because
Yes.
everything from the experience as a whole to how beautiful it is. And not just how beautiful it is, but it's like if something that is kind of modern and contemporary and a little flashy isn't your style, no worries. You've got this beautiful, velvety, golden area over here for you to have some cocktails. Or, oh, if you want
Yes.
something that feels beachy, the
Go over
loose
here. Yeah.
cannon,
If you want something
the
sporty.
dock, like something, well,
Hmm.
yeah, or something
Yeah,
that just feels seaside, like just so many different
I agree.
options across the board. And I can't imagine
Mm-mm. So for
a
me, I
better
just keep saying for
experience.
those of you, if you haven't gotten a little taste of Nadia and I and our experience, I don't know what to tell you. I just think it was just an unbelievable, relaxing experience where I felt pampered, where I felt like people genuinely cared about if I was enjoying myself, if I was getting enough to eat, if I liked what I was eating, how my excursion was. Very, very quickly, because we definitely are running way over.
Way
But there
over.
was a situation, my husband did a deep sea fishing excursion, and he has done those before. Chuck does, we do excursions, and it was not its finest hour, let's just say that. And he did go to what was it, Sailor Services, is that what?
Sailor Services.
And
Yep.
he let them know, look, I just want to let you know, and they took very detailed notes and actually got back to him a total of 3 times from when it happened to how that ended. And they I mean, they didn't and we didn't ask to be reimbursed for the entire thing, but they did give a little bit of an onboard credit to us, which made us feel like, okay, they heard us, and they heard, definitely we'll go back and make sure that someone else doesn't have that experience. So I just wanted to mention that as well. Because not did they only just take the complaint, but like actually called the room and talked to Chuck about it, and then sent 2 messages, and then, did a little something for it. So I was really, really impressed with the entire experience. So,
Yeah.
I mean, believe
So
it or not, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, so
Others.
here is who I would recommend Virgin Voyages to. Okay. If you are a couple and you have a milestone celebration, do it. If you want to celebrate a birthday, do it. Um, Honeymoon, yes, 100%, absolutely. Friend groups. I'm not gonna lie, the amount of times that I thought to myself, like, man, I could absolutely see Kaylin and I doing this sailing with our friends Morgan and Corinne. Like, it is also a great opportunity if you are thinking about Gosh, I certainly would love a relaxing vacation, but I also need to be entertained. It's a great way to have access to entertainment and to feel like you can be busy without the hustle. Like that's so cool. And then also like what Amy and her family is doing, like one of her adult sons, like this is how like you're celebrating birthdays,
His
right? Like
21st
you're
birthday. That's
doing,
what he wants to do. So we're
yeah.
taking the
And
family and doing it. Yeah.
that's so cool. Like I said, like I saw so many like multi-generational
Yes.
groups with adult children. But man, just what a great
And you
experience.
know
I mean,
something
like
else that we didn't even mention, but the bar. And if you are someone that enjoys drinking and you want to make sure I just want to mention too that they don't do cheap liquor on these sailings. You are
no,
getting the best of the best. It's
yeah,
not
you're
cheap
getting
liquor. You're getting good
right.
alcohol.
Right. But what's interesting about that is that even though Amy is saying like it's the best of the best, the prices were
Oh,
really
very reasonable.
competitive
I agree.
and
Even
very
less than I would
reasonable.
have thought. Chuck and I
Yes.
had
Oh,
a bar tab. We
100%.
did the bar tab and ended up having half of it left over and bought 3 bottles of wine to bring home that were good bottles of wine, but that way it didn't go to waste. I mean,
Yep.
yeah. All
Yep. So
right.
I can't say enough
It's
good things.
no, you and me both. I mean, I know poor and Amy did
Well,
say,
as
she goes,
though
I
I
am
didn't
going to
have
just listen to all
FOMO from the
that.
whole trip initially, like, which I knew was going to be the case when
Oh,
you two were talking
oh,
about going. And truthfully, if I could have rearranged my
I,
life and my schedule, I 100% would have been on that sailing with you because I can't wait to
oh,
get on a
you would
Virgin
have,
Voyages.
yeah.
But like this just makes me want to get on even more. And
Oh.
like all of my clients that I've booked for it, every single one of them comes back with such positive reviews. And they're all, like we've said, right? Such different walks of life, different types of people that are getting on these ships and having an amazing experience. And it's like, again, the only requirement is that like they don't let people under the age of 18 on the ship, right? So like whatever walk of life that you are, whatever type of vacation experience you're looking for, this is a really cool way to do that. Again, like if you're looking for a European cruise, if you're looking for an Alaska cruise, if you're looking for the Caribbean,
Any
transatlantic.
destination you pretty much want
If
to
you're
go
looking to get
to,
away
you
for a
can.
weekend,
Yes.
fire and
Yes.
sunset, like do it.
Yes.
Just amazing.
Nadia, like
Amazing.
very quickly for both of us, because we do want to wrap it up here. Do you want to give your all in?
You have to pick just one thing.
I know,
don't
I know you do. And yeah.
I am going to choose to be all in on, I can't believe I'm saying this, entertainment. I'm all in on entertainment from the shows to Scarlet Night to the parties. I was so impressed in the fact that you could be as all in or not as what you wanted to be on the theming. Let me tell you, how many disco outfits did I bring with me to wear for the disco party on the last night? 2. Guess what I wore? I mean, no, I almost just said I wore nothing. I
Yeah, she
dressed,
did.
but not in the thing. I had clothes on,
Not
guys,
in
I
disco.
promise. But I didn't dress up in my disco outfit. I wore my little black jumpsuit and my red headband and called it good. And that was fine. It was so fine. And so it's like it gives you the opportunity to participate and come as you are with whatever kind of entertainment you want to experience on the ship.
Yeah. Before I do my
Amy.
all in, the one thing that I want to say and what I'm going to recommend is be as comfortable as you can be. So, I mean, if it's something you
Yes.
don't feel comfortable with, then don't feel like you have to be all in. However, I think that you can make this cruise whatever that you want it to be.
Yes.
And by being it all in, by doing the pajama night, by doing the Scarlet Night, by doing all of it, I wouldn't have felt bad from not doing any of it. But by doing it, it just elevated the experience. And it was incredible. I loved every part of it. So my all in, and I will make this quick. Mine is the food. The food on the sailing. I'm gonna hold it to the same standard as I do when I go in September. And for the quality and the service to be on that ship night after night, day after day, morning after morning, lunch after lunch, it was excellent. Excellent.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Please reach out to us. We would love to put you on a Virgin sailing, whether you are an experienced cruiser, a new cruiser. If you thought maybe you were done with cruising, do not give up until you experience Virgin Voyages because there's nothing like it, friends.
Keep your eye on our social media and because truly, I think Goofy Getaways, we will definitely do a group sailing on Virgin. And for those of my clients that book or anyone that's looking to, I am going to open up my calendar to open up a couple bookings so that I can book Virgin for some friends and family because it was an incredible experience. So
your clients will be so happy when you do.
I know.
100%.
Yeah. So of course, www.goofygetaways.com. That's how you can reach us. Facebook, Goofy Getaways. Instagram, Goofy Getaways. Of course, we do have our phone number on our website. It's in like the top left-hand corner. So you guys know how to reach us. Follow us. Like this podcast. Follow along, like our post. Huge thanks to Noddea for spending a full week with me and my husband. It was incredible. I honestly wouldn't have, I think it was perfect. I wouldn't have wanted to do that experience with anyone but you, quite honestly. So it was really special. And thank you for taking time to do podcast. And then, of course, Amy, I think at one point in time, Noddea sent Amy a message. She's like, how much do you miss Noddea and Amy B? And I'm like, you should not have sent that to her because she really probably is like, she's used to being with us. So
full on FOMO. But thank you both so much for like coming and sharing your experience and being truly honest about, all of the things and even sharing the little things that you're like, hey, like this is something that like maybe didn't work for you or whatever. Even though you're both like really all in with it. Yeah. It's truly amazing. And it's so great. And obviously like the personal stories make it so much better. I am going to give you all a really quick plug that you're going to want to be listening on a very soon future podcast episode. We promised that at some point in time we would share the Amy's in California story. Please know that that is coming soon. So be sure to like, save, subscribe, comment below with other things that you want. But if you listen to a previous episode where we talked about there's a funny story of the Amy's traveling in California, that story is coming to you within the next few episodes. So be sure to stay tuned.
Be ready. Be prepared. So thank you so much if it's your first time, please come back. We talk about lots of different things for sure. But this was really fun to kind of step out and do something a little bit different and definitely something that I felt really passionate about sharing with everybody. So I think that's all on my end. Stay tuned. Other than that, we will see ya
real soon.
If you liked today's episode of the Goofy Getaways podcast, please like, share, and subscribe. And remember to follow Goofy Getaways on social media so we can lead you to the magic.